Hello YouTube, and welcome back to Traffic Ramblings. This is the lunchtime edition. I'm just popping out to get me something to eat real quick, and we're going to try to start keeping these videos short and maybe not putting a date on it, because I am extremely lax in rendering these things, putting them together and getting them up to YouTube and on the Facebook page. By the way, there's a Facebook page. Yay. So the inevitable has happened, and people are starting to, well, at least one person is starting to complain about how much I look at the camera. Do I look at the camera a lot? I don't know. Doesn't seem like it. I'm getting the job done. I'm paying attention to what I'm doing. I haven't run over anybody or hit anything, and that's a miracle. Well, not really. I'm not a bad driver. I'm not the best, but I'm not a bad driver. I don't think. Am I? Y'all tell me. Anyway, just a couple of notes. I'm going to try to start keeping these videos down in 10 minutes. You know, shouldn't be any more than that. I'm going to try to keep them at 10 minutes because, you know, that seems to be the thing. So, traffic sucks, and you hear a lot of people attribute it to, oh, there must be an accident ahead, or it's that construction. It's no, not really. I mean, the construction does attribute to it, but it's more of the fact that people don't really know how to drive, and that's a failing on our society. Most people, they're given the chance to take driving lessons or driver's ed in high school, especially here in Alabama, where I'm from and where I graduated. I remember going through driver's ed, and we were given a car. We had to share a single car between 5 students per class. And I don't know if there were any other classes. I can't remember. That's been 30 years ago. But I do remember getting out in this Ford Taurus and just driving around the city of Pelham, Alabama, with 4 other people in the car plus the driver's ed instructor. So we had to split up our time between 4 different people, 4 different drivers, and there wasn't always enough time in the hour that we got for everybody to do everything. You know, we tooled around the city a little bit, and occasionally we would get out on the interstate. I say that, and I don't really remember, because, like I said, it's been 30 years. But I don't remember our driver's ed teacher, ever really going over the finer nuances of driving. You know, road courtesy, how to merge, what a merging lane is actually for. You know, I figured a lot of this stuff out when I was out on my own. You know, just trying to survive out there. It's almost, you know, okay, well, here's basic instruction, and now we're going to throw you to the wolves. So, you know, that was my driver's ed. And while it got me the basics, and, you know, of course, I had to go in, I had to take a written test, and then I had to take a driver's test to get my full driver's license. And I drove for a bit with my mom. Dad, I can't remember if I actually got in the car and drove with Dad much. But my mom and Dad, they made me back in and then back out and then pull back into our driveway a dozen times until I could do it. You know. Well, I'll say a dozen. It was a bunch of times. It was a lot, and just back in or back out, pull in, back out, pull in, then back in, pull out, back in, pull out, back in, pull out. And then they got me out into a kind of a, I don't want to call it a back road, but it wasn't a well-traveled road. It was a dead-end road. I think it was Yeager Street or something like that in Pelham, and had me just start. They get me going, and then they make sure I could keep the car straight. And they kind of filled me in on some of the other things. Again, I don't remember. It's been years, but I have to question whether or not they're actually teaching merging skills, because that's really and truly what causes a lot of these traffic jams. Is people don't know how to merge. They don't. They just they get down to the bottom of the ramp and they stop, or they slow down, and somebody on the road slows down and lets them in, which of course backs the traffic up behind them. So, you get up there and there's never a wreck. It's frustrating. It takes me an hour and a half to drive 40 miles. An hour and a half to drive 40 miles. And that's just a little on the ridiculous side. And it's all because, and I mean, even without the traffic, it's still an hour to drive 40 miles. So, I don't necessarily blame accidents. Yeah, accidents can throw a wrench in the works, and it's by far worse. But when you actually have an accident, a real accident that does affect traffic, and I'm not talking about those little fender benders that get pulled off to the side of the road. I'm talking about full-on wrecks that block part of the highway. Yeah, those really affect it. You go from hour and a half to 2 hours to 2.5 hours to drive 40 miles. So it's, and where I live at, there's no real good way to get where I have to go. I drive up through some of the worst traffic in Birmingham metro area just to get to work. But anyway, enough of me rambling on. I'm going to cut it off here because I'm about to pick up my food. This is Jonathan. I'm signing off. Check out the links below. Like, subscribe, and share if you like what you see. Y'all have a good day.